Hey, what's up? It's Bobby Lynn here from BobbyLynnProduction.com. Today we're in 3ds Max and I'll be showing you how to create a large ground without seeing the tiling effect. So we'll be creating a material that has a randomized texture and it will end up looking like this. As you can see in this render that I did previously, from up close to afar, you will see that there is no repetition in the ground texture other than these parking lines that you see. But in terms of the asphalt, it is randomized and it looks quite realistic. Now, usually when you download textures off the internet and you apply them to a large ground, you can see repetition all along here. And just to show you how big this ground actually is, so as you can see, these two dots, okay, they are the two cars. And this big square here, that is the actual ground. So it is very, very large, and I'm working with real-world scaling. Just to give you an idea as to how large this ground plane is, it is 25 meters by 25 meters, okay? And here is another view of the ground. Here's a top view, and as you can see, there's no sign of tiling. It looks quite good. And the pictures were rendered out with V-Ray, both of them, the one that you saw before and this one. However, this tutorial will be done with Mental Ray. So it can be done with any render engines, even Scanline. Okay. Alright, let's get started. Back in 3ds Max now. You might notice that it's a different 3ds Max to what you saw before, and that's because I've changed computers. Before I was rendering a project, and doing this tutorial was really slowing everything down. So I'm on my laptop now, in a slightly older version of 3ds Max. So here we go, let's create a plane. Okay. And I'm going to make this square, so I'm going to copy this, paste it in here. Okay. And let's move this into the center. Okay, so put 0 there, 0 in the Y value, and that will be perfectly in the center. Okay. So to achieve what we want, it's all about the materials, okay? Now I forgot to mention before, we should keep the segments as is. If you're going to deform your plane, that is, if you're going to make rolling hills out of it or have things popping out of the ground, then you might want to increase the segments. But for this example, we want to try to create a large parking lot. So we're going to have the surface nice and flat and 4 segments in both length and width. Bring up the material editor. Now like I said, this can be done in both V-Ray and Mental Ray and Scanline. I'm in Mental Ray at the moment. Well, before we can do anything in the material editor, what you need to do is grab some images off the internet. Okay. So there are many ways to get these images. What you can do is you can type in asphalt or asphalt texture images. You go through here, here's one, okay, and that's perfect because it looks like it's been tiled already. Okay, it's a perfect square, so that's one. There's another, right, that one's tiled. Okay, so but I'd like to go to a place called CG Textures. Okay, cgtextures.com. It's really cool. We've got nearly every kind of texture you can imagine. Okay, and just type in here asphalt. There we go. And what we're going to do here is we're going to grab 3 Okay, well you can use more than 3 because we want a mixture, right? We don't just want one bitmap. We want a mixture of pictures to create a large one, so it looks more realistic, more randomized, and so we won't see the tiling effect. Okay. Now go ahead and choose your 3. Okay, I'm going to choose this one. What's another one? Let's have a look. This one. All right. Now you want something that's not overly different to each other. You know, you don't want a white one and a black one and a brown one. Hopefully you want them to be similar, so when you blend them together, it looks more natural. And maybe this one. Okay, I've actually already downloaded these, so just to let you know, you want for something large, you want at least 3. Obviously, you know, the bigger it is, the more you want, but I think 3 is sufficient for what we're wanting to create. So, okay, I've already got these. Close this, and in here, diffuse, I will load the bitmap. Okay, because I've got 3, I'm going to use up 3 of these material slots. Okay, 1 for each slot. So okay, this is what it looks like. Now, to make this look more realistic, ideally you want to put something in specular color, specular level, and also bump. What you should do is you should use Photoshop to adjust the diffuse and create separate files for the specular and the bump. And usually the specular, you can also put that in the levels, okay, as an instance. Now, I'm not going to go through Photoshop. So for this example, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this into the bump. Okay, or use it as an instance. Okay, so it creates a little bit of depth. Okay. Now, like I said, ideally you want to do it in Photoshop. Play around with the levels to have a more effective bump map. If you want to know how that's done, look it up on YouTube. There are tons of tutorials on how to create a bump map or a specular map. Okay, but we're not going to do that now. Okay, so I'm going to do that for each one. Okay. Now let's assign this to the plane and see what that looks like. Okay. It's very large. We would usually go into material, right? And we'll tile this up. So let's say 10 and 10. Okay. Right. You think, maybe they'll be good. Okay. So let's go get nice and close. Okay, and let's make a render. To be honest, it looks kind of boring. So, what we're going to do, we'll leave that as tiled as 10 and 10. Okay. Actually, we're going to do that to all of them. Okay, 10 and 10. You can increase it or decrease it as you want. Okay, you can make it 15, 20. But just to let you know, if they're the same size bitmaps, then ideally you want the tiling to be the same for all of them. Okay. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we are going to change this material from standard. We're going to put it into a blend. So here we go. We're going to keep old material as submaterial. And what we're going to blend this with, we are going to blend this with okay, we're going to blend this with another blend. Okay, so I'm going to back it here. So the idea of this is to blend all three maps together. Okay, all three materials together. And how do we do that? Basically, we have this one, okay, or default one here. We're going to have this blend with these two. Okay, so we're going to have a blend as a submaterial in the initial blend map. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to blend these two in here, okay, in the slot. So we're going to go in the slot, and we are going to click here, click on blend again. I'm going to discard old map. Okay, here we go, two new ones, and we're going to drag this one here, instance, drag this one here, instance. Okay, as you probably already know, I clicked instance so that whatever I change in here will change in these slots automatically. Okay, great. And that's the first step. Okay, now the magic is here in the mask area. Okay, so we're going to click on mask, and we are going to use a noise map to blend these two materials together. Now I've fiddled with these settings. Okay, in your 3ds Max it might be showing up in your perspective viewport of how the noise map is mixing your textures. In mine it's not. Okay, so regarding your noise map, I've made a extra material here because the noise map isn't showing up in my viewport, which it should do. If it doesn't for you, then here's another way to go about it. Follow me along anyway, even if it does, because I want to show you what the noise map should end up looking like. Okay, so I've made a noise map here. I've changed this just a little bit. I've changed it. Here are the settings. Okay, so 0.54 or 0.5 roundabouts for the high. And 0.3 or 0.4 for the low threshold. And as for the size, I've put it to 9.8. Okay, and all I'm going to do now is apply this. Okay, and make a render. See, ideally this is what your noise map should look like. Okay, so I like the look of this. How did I get this? Basically, I created a blend. Okay, and in the first slot, I changed the color to white, and in the second slot, I changed it to black. Okay, so this is just giving me a demonstration on what the noise map looks like. So because I like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy. I'm going to come in here and paste. Okay. Now I'm just going to do the copy paste, not the instance, because you know, I want, I'm going to paste this twice, and I don't want them to be exactly the same as each other. So I'm going to go into the sub-blend map in my blend map, and then in the second map, second blend map, I'm going to put paste again, and I am just going to alter the phase. Okay, so that way it will be different. So changing the phase is it's sort of like a seed, right? It changes the pattern on the noise map, but it will keep everything else the same. So the size is the same, the thresholds will be the same, just the pattern will be different. So that should be good now. Let's make another render. Whoops, what's going on? Okay, I need to assign material to selection, and then render. And there we go. That looks much better. If you can, okay, we'll take a closer look. But from this view right now, you can see that it is very patchy. But it's patching in a way where you cannot distinguish the tiling effect. And this is what you want. Because you know, you're never going to see your ground from this far out, right? So when you close up, let's go close up again. Okay, you're probably going to be viewing your ground from this angle. Okay, let's make a render, and let's make a bigger render so you can see. Let's go HD TV, or make a big one. And as you can see, there's no sign of tiling. Okay, it's very randomized. Take another render from a different view. This is great. Okay, so there you have it. There's a large ground. Now I'm going to put a layer of dirt on top. Okay, so to do this, come back into our first material. Okay, and we go into the diffuse, and now we click on the area that says bitmap up here, right, and then we click on composite, keep old map. We'll just add one more. Okay, and in the first one we will put let's have a look, RGB tint. Okay, change this to black, copy, paste, and now for the middle one we will change it to a color that you desire. So keep in mind, if you're using an HDRI background, you might want to take a look at a dirt color that they have. Okay, and this is very easy to use, because let's say if you already have your HDRI in your viewport, okay, what you can do is you can use this eyedropper and just click on your HDRI color, and the dirt color will come up. Okay, if you don't, then pick a color that you think would look like dirt. Yeah, that looks good, I like that. Okay, I'm just going to go with that. Then we need a map, so in the map slot we will use a noise again. Here we are. Okay, roll down here, change this to fractal. The settings here would be the same. Okay, I'd like to keep the threshold as the same as how we had it here. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look in here again. How did we have it? So let's have a look. 0.5 and 0.4. So let's come back here. 0.5. 0.4. Okay, but the size is going to be different. The size is going to be very large. You don't want the dust layer to be as patchy as your asphalt. So you want it to spread out more, and you want the patches to lump together as dirt would look like on a normal road. So let's go, let's say 27. Okay, I'm going to try that. So let's zoom out here. Render. Let's take a look. Ooh, okay. It's a little too patchy. Now, it is patchy because I've only applied it to the first, the diffuse in the first material. Now, I will need to paste it as an instance to all three materials. Okay, so that the material, the dirt layer will come up the way that I want it in the end. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go into the first one. Okay, and what I'm going to do is copy the noise map, just the noise map. Okay, you know, we'll have to do this several times, so I also want to copy and paste the color as well, so let's do that. Okay, let's I'm going to go out here. I'm going to copy, right? So let's go in here. Now let's go into the second, the sub blend material, and into the first material of the sub blend. Let's go into the diffuse. Click bitmap, and we will click composite. Keep old map. So same as before. Add another layer and paste instance. Okay, now it's the same, right? Now we're going to have to go all the way back into the first material, diffuse, copy the noise map, go all the way back, go back into your sub blend material, and then go into your first slot, go into your diffuse again, and then in here paste as instance. There you go. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to have to do the same to our very last material. So you can either do it here or go all the way back. Just copy from here. Okay, it'll be a lot easier. So let's go copy. We don't have to go all the way back now. Let's just go into so I'm in the sub blend material, okay, and I'm going to go into the last material. As you can see here, 03 default, so this is third and final material. Go into diffuse, bitmap, composite, keep old, and we are going to add another layer, paste as instance. There we go, perfect. And lastly, let's go back. Okay, copy the noise map and go back into our last material. It's a bit confusing, but if you follow closely, it won't be so confusing afterwards. And then in the mask slot, paste your noise map as an instance, and there you have it. It is done. Okay, show you that it's complete. Let's make a render. Ta-da! Okay. What you can do is you can also decrease the opacity. Okay, so now it doesn't matter which material that you go to change the noise map. Whatever you do to the dirt layer, it will instantly update the dirt layer in all 3 material slots that you put in there. So that works out perfectly. It will synchronize, and you won't have to go through everything that you just did before. You can just apply your adjustments to one map, and it will update all the others. So that way you can get your dirt layer looking the exact way that you like, without having to go through all those steps again. So let me just give you an example. Let's say I want to change the scaling of it. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one I go to. Let's pretend I go into the subblend and I accidentally go into here, right? And then I go into the diffuse slot. Okay, here we go. I want to change this. I want to change the color. Let's change it to a darker color. There we go, slightly darker. Okay, great. And let's come back out. Let's change the noise map. As for the noise map, I want to change the scale of it. I want to change it smaller. Okay. And I want to increase the low threshold a little bit, so that way the clear areas will show up as more clear. So the map that you saw before, remember the black and white map, basically the white will be your visible dirt, and the black will be the opacity of the dirt. So that means it will show up as no dirt where the black is. Okay, and increasing the low threshold will increase the darker spots in your noise map. So I've adjusted that, and let's make another render. And there you have it. It's more clear in some areas. Okay, and it's also the scale of it has changed. Okay, it's not as big as before. And there you have it. Okay, so you've got your dirt layer, you've got underneath the dirt layer your large ground or asphalt layer, and it doesn't look tiled, so it's good for whatever you want to use it for. I had a parking lot, and to get that parking lot, all I did was I went into CG textures. Okay, and I put an asphalt, and what I did was I grabbed one of these. Okay, and I can do it right now just to show you which one do I want to use. Let's just go this one. Okay, doesn't matter which one. Save. Okay, and all I did was, let's go back into the original. Okay, let's go into the first material. I used it as part of the composite. Okay, so I went in here, and what I did was I added another layer. Whoops, I added another layer. Okay, and I put this layer in between the dirt layer and my ground layer, which is, you know, where you usually put things for your for the, what do you call it, the parking lines. Okay, so let's just do that. Bitmap should be this one. Yep, open. Okay, and let's go back in here. Okay, and so here you can change the blending mode. So I believe I used an overlay. Okay. Now the thing about this is I've only applied it to one material, so the map is going to come up as patchy. Right, you can hardly see the lines. Right, it's quite patchy. Okay, so to make it come up properly, okay, it's very easy. You just let's copy, and that way, if we do what we did with the dirt layer, as in we copied from here, and we copied as an instance in all the other materials. That way, whatever you do, whatever updates you do to one layer, or one layer in the it's getting quite complicated. So whatever updates you do here or anywhere else, it will update itself all across the board. So that way you won't have to, it won't be so difficult for you. Okay, so let's go back, go in here, material 2, add, make it the second one, paste instance, go into the third and final material, add another layer, put it in the middle, put it in the middle, paste instance, okay, and render. Voila, and there you have it, guys. Okay. Okay, it doesn't, let's take a closer render, it will look better. Oh, wow, what's going on? Okay, let's go, close this, close this. Okay, you might not like the overlay option, so let's go back. Well, let's be honest, I don't like the actually, you know what, it's because I did not use overlay in all parking lot lines layers, so I have to do that. So let's do overlay here. See, I only did overlay to the first material. So let's go back here. Second one, overlay here. And that should be better. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's much better. Let's go. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so that is the tutorial. One thing I would recommend is instead of using Mental Ray for all you users out there, I highly recommend V-Ray. If you haven't tried it out, try it out, because I believe that once you start using V-Ray, you're never gonna go back to Mental Ray. I found it to be faster, it looks more realistic, there are a lot more adjustments you can do, and for me the rendering process has been a lot better, and I found true benefits to using V-Ray. Highly recommend it. So that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and check back soon for more tutorials. I'm Bobby Lin at bobbylinproduction.com. See you next time. Ciao.